I wish I hadn't discovered those sinister rules. 7 terrifying secrets that haunt the cursed night. The evening air hung heavy over Maple Grove, as if the very shadows had grown darkened with anticipation. Sarah clutched Lily's hand, sensing the change in the atmosphere, but she had no idea how deeply their lives would spiral into horror. While rummaging through the attic, Lily pulled out an old, dusty book with the spine cracked and tattered corners. The title sent a chill racing down Sarah's spine. The Sinister Rules. Before she could object, her daughter's wide eyes sparkled with curiosity, the pages beckoning them closer. "Mom, look!" Lily exclaimed, her innocent voice shattering the silence. Sarah hesitated but found herself drawn in. The first rule spoke simply, stay indoors after dark. It felt harmless at first, until little threads of forbidding folklore about missing children lashed at Sarah's heart. Whispers echoed around her, a dark lullaby reminding her of the stories she had heard while living in the close-knit community. Shadows twisted along the walls, and they both shivered. Deciding the book was nonsense, Sarah forced a laugh, but unease coiled tighter around them as the night deepened. The streetlights flickered, casting eerie patterns across their living room. Her jagged heart echoed in her ears as she prepared for her night shift at the hospital. "Everything will be fine," she murmured to herself. Yet, as she prepared to leave, a sense of dread clawed at her insides. She could swear she saw figures lurking beyond the curtains, shadows that didn't belong. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Hours dragged on, each tick of the clock amplifying Sarah's anxiety. She imagined Lily safe at home, curled in her blanket, but in the back of her mind loomed the unshakable feeling that something was terribly wrong. Returning home that night, she walked up the porch steps, heart racing. The door creaked open, the silence crashing over her like a wave. The house bathed in darkness was suffocating. "Lily," she called, her voice cracking. No answer came but the echo of her own panic. The shadows danced, and the walls seemed to thrum with whispers of dread. She searched every room, each dark corner hiding a piece of her heart. When she stepped into the attic, the book lay open on the floor, its pages blank except for a final, chilling line. "You were warned." Fingers trembling, Sarah felt the grip of terror as the realization hit Lily was gone. The darkness enveloped her, swallowing the essence of safety she once clung to. Desperation surged through her veins, the familiar faces of her neighbors now morphing into suspicious figures in the slipping night. What was their true history? Who could she trust? The truths whispered in the darkness began intertwining with nightmares of fate, and at the center, the grotesque legacy of Maple Grove twisted in her mind like water spiraling down the drain. Outside, a flickering streetlight cast a distorted halo, a figure standing just beyond its grasp. As tension ricocheted through the marrow of her bones, she squinted. It was a silhouette she recognized too well, but in that moment, another realization struck like a thunderclap. The air around her thickened with a sinister intent. As she inched closer, her breath came in ragged gasps, heart thundering. The figure turned slowly, and she faced the haunting eyes that spoke of familiar comfort, yet concealed something unfathomably terrible. The door to her once safe world flung wide, laying bare the murky depths she was not prepared to explore. The chilling reality climbed over her skin, and she was left teetering on the precipice of truths she might wish she had never uncovered. The figure stepped into the dying light, allowing the glow to cast twisted shadows across familiar features. Sarah's heart stammered. It was Mrs. Parker, their elderly neighbor, face lined with worry and something else, something darker. "Sarah, you shouldn't be out here," Mrs. Parker hissed, glancing over her shoulder as if the night itself might witness their exchange. You mustn't know about the book." "What do you mean?" "Lily is missing." Panic surged through Sarah. She felt the walls of reality closing in, threatening to swallow her whole. "Shhhh. Mrs. Parker's voice went low, almost a growl now. "Keep your voice down. They might hear you. Who might hear me? Sarah shot back, her breath short and rapid. This is insane. I don't have time for games. Where's my daughter? The old woman cast one last glance before grabbing Sarah's arm, her grip like iron. Listen to me. The rules aren't just stories. The moment you open that book, you unleash something. The weight of the words coiled around Sarah's throat like a noose. She could hardly breathe. What did this mean? Was it her fault? Her thoughts curled in on themselves, panic blurring the edges of clarity. Get inside, Mrs. Parker insisted, urgency spilling out of her. Close the door, turn off the lights. You have to follow the rules. It's the only way to keep her safe. Safe? How can you talk about safe when my daughter? A sudden shriek pierced the night, a sound so chilling and full of anguish it froze Sarah's blood. The echo ricocheted off the walls, wrapping her in a blanket of fear. A child's scream. Please, she begged, pulling away from Mrs. Parker. I can't just stand here. Sarah. No. Ignoring her neighbor, Sarah bolted toward the sound. Each step felt like walking through molasses, dread pulling her deeper into the nightmare. The scream repeated, more desperate this time. It forked through her, igniting a surge of primal resolve. Outside Lily's window, the darkness pooled like ink, tendrils reaching out, curling around the edges of the house. She could feel it, the malevolence that lived here, creeping and curling through the night. That book, it had unleashed something, summoned shadows more potent than fear itself. Lily, she cried, voice raw, heart racing. But instead of an answer, she glimpsed a figure slip past the window, a flash of pale skin and dark hair. She rushed toward the door, throwing it open, feeling the rush of cold air against her face as eerie silence descended. The flickering streetlight barely sliced through the encroaching darkness, illuminating a path of terror. Lily, she yelled, stepping forward into the void. Something rustled in the shadows beyond, a soft, tantalizing whisper. Her heart raced. It was as if the world held its breath, waiting, just waiting for her to cross the threshold. With every beat, dread surged anew. Then, a ghostly laugh echoed through the air, chilling her bones. It danced like a flickering flame, tugging at the corners of her sanity. It felt wrong, an echo of joy twisted with malice. Before she could think, a cold hand gripped her shoulder, spinning her around. It was Mrs. Parker again, face pale, eyes wide with a warning. You don't understand. You can't go out there. They will take you too. You must leave now. But it was too late. The darkness had unspooled like a thread, and Sarah was caught in its web. A figure flickered at the edge of her vision, readying to strike. What was it, this army of shadows? What did they want? And most importantly, where was her daughter? The old woman's scream shattered everything. Run, Sarah, before it's too late. Palpitations thundered in her ears as she spun towards the door, but the darkness surged, blocking her path. Stumbling back, she found a way to escape the stairs to the attic, the one place she hadn't explored fully. A hint of light beckoned from above, and with desperation clawing at her, she dashed forward once more. But as she reached the attic, a strange sound filled the room. A low, humming tune bounced off the walls, threading into her skin. The book lay waiting, pages now fully opened, words swirling in a dark, glittering ink, but the rules weren't the only things that were alive. And she sensed it, an answer was waiting for her to uncover. Now, what other secrets would she unearth? What horrors awaited her beyond? As the walls groaned and the shadows slithered closer, Sarah took a breath, her heart poised to meet the unknown. The attic was a sepulchre of dust and dread, the air thick and stale. As Sarah stepped inside, the door creaked ominously behind her, a sound that echoed like a warning. The low hum intensified, vibrating through her bones, luring her closer to the open book. What did it mean? Each word seemed to shimmer, pulsing with a life of its own. She squinted, trying to discern the dark incantations swirling across the pages. Frantic images flashed in her mind, her daughter, Lily, terrified and lost, calling out for her, fading into the night. Lily, she hissed, clenching her fists. I want to abandon you. Sarah edged closer to the book, its ancient pages fluttering as if caught in an unseen breeze. The humming ceased for a heartbeat, then resumed, a throbbing pulse, like a heartbeat echoing in the room. Suddenly, She felt at the piercing gaze of something unseen, lurking in the corners of the attic. The shadows twisted and coiled, forming silhouettes that crept closer. Her breath quickened, panic igniting her limbs. "Who are you?" she shouted into the darkness, her voice trembling. No answer, only an echo of her own desperation. She turned back to the book, determined to find some way to combat the shadows invading her thoughts. What had those words unleashed? What had she done? As she reached for the pages, a sudden chill enveloped her, icy fingers grazing her skin as the shadows surged forward. Panic clawed at her throat. "Get back. I'm not afraid." But fear gnawed at her resolve. She gripped the edge of the book tightly, trying to pull it closer, but an unseen force resisted, tugging it away. Then a whisper slithered through the air, soft, seductive. "You shouldn't have come here, Sarah?" She gasped, recognizing the voice. It was Mrs. Parker. "Help! I need help!" Sarah screamed, but only silence responded. The shadows snarled, tendrils reaching out, curling around the edges of her vision. Every pulse of the book felt like an answered prayer, laced with malice. "You seek answers, don't you?" The voice grew sharper, mocking. "You have opened the door, Sarah. And once it's opened, it cannot be closed. Only the darkness can take what is its due." Desperation surged, hotter than anger. She had to stay in control. Whatever this force was, it was playing with her mind, twisting her fears. "What do you want with Lily?" There was a pause before the darkness answered, its laughter echoing like shattered glass. "Not just Lily, she's merely the first. They all will come, one way or another. The book binds us, and you fed it." Images of Lily flared in her mind, her daughter's laughter, the way her bright eyes lit up the room. A sob clawed at Sarah's throat. She wouldn't lose her child without a fight. "What rules?" Sarah demanded, desperately replaying Mrs. Parker's words in her mind. "You said there were rules. What do I do?" With a suddenness that cut through the tension, the room darkened, the shadows converging into a single mass, threatening to engulf her. The book vibrated violently in her grip, words spilling over the edges, glowing ominously. "Sacrifice or surrender," the shadows hissed. "Your choice will decide her fate." The book's pages began to flip wildly, as if searching for something she needed to see. Each blow of sensation rattled through her, agony and urgency bleeding together. Sarah's heart raced. If there were rules, then maybe there were also loopholes. She prided herself on being clever, quick-minded. But with each passing second, the shadows tightened their grip around her. "Lily!" she cried out again, her voice cracking, teetering on despair. And then, as if conjured by her plea, the attic window shattered, shards raining down like glittering stars across the floor. An unnatural wind howled, pulling at the fading remnants of light. Amid the chaos, a silhouette emerged through the jagged opening, small and fragile Lily, cloaked in shadow, her face obscured, but a sense of familiarity draped her like a veil. "Mommy, help me," her voice, soft and haunting, cut through the fear like a knife. As fear struck deep in Sarah's gut, dread pooled around her heart. Time was slipping, and so was hope. "Lily!" She lunged forward, but the shadows lashed out, surging between them. "No," the figure whispered, voice laced with echoes of sorrow. "You have to make a choice before time runs out." With panic flooding her veins, Sarah realized she had to act. The darkness thrived on her hesitation. What choice would she make? Would she gamble everything on a hope that shimmered just beyond the reach of the shadows? The looming question hung in the air, a precipice leading into an abyss. And in that moment, she could either crumble or rise, but either route led her deeper into the chaos of a world she barely understood. As the shadows writhed and the wind howled, Sarah's thoughts spiraled fiercely. The final answers awaited her if she had the courage to face them. Would she risk everything for Lily, hoping to uncover the truth hidden in darkness? Panic surged within Sarah as she felt the shadows tightening around her, a living nightmare restricting her breath. "Lily, hold on," she screamed, her voice cracking under pressure. The darkness writhed, hungry, consuming the light, and Sarah teetered on the brink of despair. "No," Lily's shadowy figure demanded, but its voice sounded distant, muffled by the chaos enveloping them. "You have to decide, Mommy." With desperation clawing at her throat, Sarah's eyes darted to the book, which pulsed like a heartbeat in her hands. She could see now that it was more than just a collection of words. The pages seemed to beckon her, each script dripping with promises and threats intermingled. This was no ordinary spellbook. It held the weight of lives lost and souls shackled in torment. Sacrifice, the shadows hissed again, wrapping tightly around her arms. Or surrender. What kind of choices are these? She spat out, rage mingling with fear, flooding her veins with adrenaline. It's not fair. You're just a bully. The laughter echoed again, that familiar sound, chilling her to the bone. Fairness is irrelevant, dear Sarah. Make your choice. You have but moments. Moments. The word twisted in her mind, another layer of terror unraveling. She focused on the swirling darkness, her heart hammering against her chest. What would she sacrifice, herself or Lily, to stop whatever malevolent force was grasping for them? The attic trembled, shadows flickering like flames in a sinister wind. The air grew thick, heavy, and suffocating. She inhaled sharply, her mind racing, trying to juggle 1,000 thoughts all at once. There had to be a way to fight this, a way to break the cycle. "Mommy, please," Lily's whisper echoed again, more insistent, as if the shadows were absorbing her very essence. "No, I won't give in," Sarah roared, rallying the remnants of her strength. With a sudden burst of determination, she wrenched herself free from the darkness gripping her. "You think you can make me choose? I'll find a way to save us both." She tore her eyes away from the book and towards her daughter, the fear in Lily's misty eyes slicing through her. "Lily, hold tight. Whatever happens, I love you." The shadows writhed violently, shrieking in fury as they recoiled at her words. With renewed vigor, Sarah turned back to the book, feeling its ancient power fizzling against her resolve. She summoned her will, focusing on the words, visualizing their meaning. Each syllable danced like fireflies, alight with potential, a spell to break free rather than bind. As she began to chant, the shadows howled, their forms flickering violently. A sudden gust swept through the attic, swirling around her, the very essence of the darkness writhing like a serpent agitated by the light of her conviction. "Bind us no longer," Sarah yelled, harnessing all her strength. "I forge my path. I choose hope." The ground shook beneath her feet, and the very air felt charged, electric with energy. The darkness screamed, a cacophony of rage ricocheting around the attic. It surged with energy, a tempest of ancient power recoiling against her words. Then, in the eye of the storm, Sarah saw it, the shadowy figure of Lily, flickering toward her, drawing closer and closer. The air around the child shimmered, rendering the horrors manifesting in the attic momentarily subdued. "Mommy, please don't," the words cut off as a force yanked Lily back, shadows crawling over her small form. Sarah gasped, terror flooding her body. "No, not again. I won't let this happen." Just as she felt herself losing her grip on reality, a light broke through. A flicker at the edge of the shattered window, pale and bright, illuminating the darkness. It beckoned to her, the promise of escape. Will it be enough? As she reached out for that glimpse of hope, Sarah's heart raced. What if it was a trap? Would leaping towards the light mean letting go of Lily forever? Before she could fully process her next move, the darkness lunged again, a tidal wave determined to pull her under. Instinctively, Sarah closed her eyes and grasped the words in a fierce mantra, blending her spirit with her daughter's. "Together, Lily. We have to do it together." But with that choice hanging heavy in the air, the shadows hissed one final time. The darkness never relents. "You're running out of time," and as the walls seemed to close in, Sarah braced herself for the onslaught, desperation morphing into a wild determination. But the question lingered, heavy and chilling. What would she have to face to truly save her daughter? A choice remained, and time was ticking down. The roar of the shadows enveloped her, a swirling torment of despair and anguish. Every instinct in Sarah screamed to flee, yet she couldn't abandon Lily. Power surged within her, raw and untamed, igniting every fiber of her being. "No more," she yelled, emboldened. "We will not bow to you." But the shadows only laughed. The sound sliced through her defiance, sharp as broken glass. "Defiance only strengthens us, dear Sarah. Destined to lose, are you?" With a sudden rush, the darkness lunged forward, not just around her, but within her. A biting cold seized her heart, constricting tighter with each breath. Sarah could feel Lily's essence fading. Her daughter's laughter, once a sweet melody, was now muffled beneath layers of blackness. "Mommy." The whisper faded, like smoke in the wind, leaving a gaping ache in Sarah's chest. Time was ticking, an ominous clock counting down her failures. She gripped the book tighter, recalling fragments from its pages. Ancient spells glowed in her memory, their meanings dancing just out of reach. The choices echoed in her mind: sacrifice or surrender. The thought tethered her between two fates, both promising despair. "Choice, Sarah," the voice sneered. "Which will it be?" "I choose neither," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. The energy swirled around her, smothering her with dread and despair, but Sarah's heart ignited a spark of rebellion. "You can't have us." She focused on that flicker of light outside the beacon that shouted against the darkness. Its glow flared like a candle in the abyss. "If I have to fight to save her, then so be it." With lightning-fast resolve, Sarah began to weave together words from the depths of her soul, chanting an incantation she scarcely understood. Her voice rose and fell, a rhythm pulsing with life, fueling the fire within her. The shadows roared, a feral response to a force they never expected. Yet something shifted. The passion in her words seemingly ignited the dark themselves, turning their fury into chaos. The attic trembled like a caged beast, the walls vibrating as if the very house itself was alive, caught in a cosmic struggle. The shadows darted back, retreating momentarily, and a sliver of hope flickered in Sarah's heart. But as the light grew, so did the intensity of the looming darkness, rippling through the air, thick with menace. Something darker lurked, feeding off her desperation. Panic rose within her as she thought of Lily. "Where are you?" In an instant, Sarah felt an overwhelming, icy grip on her throat, choking her words before they could escape. The darkness sneered, "You want to save her? Then know this: the price is blood. One of you will pay." Her breath hitched. The choice morphed into a nightmare, twisting under the pressure. Let her go? You leave her out of this. But the shadows only tightened their hold, and dread knotted in her stomach. "No, dear. She's all that's left of you." The mocking tone slithered through her mind, parking itself like a parasite. "Please, not Lily, not my baby." The words wobbled on her lips, threatening to shatter. But even in her anguish, clarity surged. "Together, Lily." She choked out, tears streaming down her face. "Fight back with me. We'll find a way. I want to leave you." The forces collided, an unholy symphony of shadow and light erupting around her. In a dizzying moment, Sarah glimpsed Lillian's pale, frightened face flickering in the dark, her eyes wide with desperation, glimmers of pure love shining through. Then the shadows shrieked, breaking the moment. "This fight won in the way you hope. Time runs out." With a heart that raced like a hunted animal, Sarah clutched Lily's essence within her mind, drawing strength from the love they shared. She poured every ounce of herself into the incantation, her body trembling under the strain, summoning forces she could only dream of. Could love cut the threads of darkness? As her voice crescendoed, shadows writhed and collided, forming a vortex of chaos. Sarah felt herself spiraling. A dizzying drop. Was she falling or rising? Suddenly, the air shattered with sound, a thunderous echo marking the strain of their struggle. "You think love can save you?" The shadows cried, and their laughter pierced through her. Dark tendrils crept closer, and the light flickered dangerously. "Mommy!" The cry reverberated in her heart. Would this sacrifice mean the end? But in the heart of the storm, a chilling realization dawned within her. What if she had to break a rule? What if her salvation lay in defying the very force that sought to consume them? As the darkness lunged once more, Sarah felt a surge of clarity. She was ready to break free, but was it enough? Would they be able to escape the inescapable grip, or was this the ultimate deception, a decision hung in the air, as thick and suffocating as the darkness itself? The battle raged, and time was slipping. The shadows recoiled, but their laughter echoed in the hollow space. A cruel reminder that fear could stalk even the most righteous heart. Sarah's heart raced wildly, thumping against her ribs like a captive bird, desperate for escape. Just beyond the swirling darkness, she could sense a dream of vision of Lily running toward her, her tiny arms outstretched, innocence shimmering in the abyss. Please, you have to hold on. Sarah's voice cut through the storm, a fragile thread in the cacophony of shadows. We're coming for you. But her conviction felt impotent against the dark's ravenous hunger. The icy grip on her throat tightened, and Sarah gasped. The air thinned, forcing her to focus. She needed to return to the spell, to dive deeper into the forgotten language that flowed through her veins. Blood must be paid. The haunting whisper clawed at her ears, sinking beneath her skin with the weight of 1,000 crushed hopes. No, it won't be mine. Sarah felt the world spin beneath her, grasping the book like a lifeline. Pages tore from its spine as she ripped through desperate incantations, searching for a key. The shadows surged again. Your desire? Your child? The darkness coiled around her, hungry for her despair. You will lose one way or another. It can be quick, or slow, your choice. The vicious pull of panic unfurled in her gut, but rage surged with it, a defiance blooming like wildfire in dry brush. She slammed the book down, the impact sending a jolt through her, and steadied herself. You don't own me, she shouted, the fire in her voice igniting her resolve. And you don't own my daughter. As the shadows quivered, uncertainty danced through the storm. Every instinct in Sarah demanded she channel this anger. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a fight for a soul, for love against the eternal night. Lily, call to me. A moment hung heavily in the air, then a soft whisper broke like dawn against darkness. Mommy, hold tight. The warmth of her daughter's essence flickered in response, sharper, clearer. Sarah felt a connection blossom anew, bright and fierce. The shadows rippled with anger, threatening to swallow the light they generated. This will cost you dearly, they screeched. With her heart pounding, Sarah dove into the incantation once more, her voice echoing against the attic walls like thunder. She envisioned her love wrapping around them, both a shield against the grotesque malice that sought to tear them apart. From the depths, we rise, she cried, each word ringing with conviction, each syllable a pulse in the dark. She could feel the air shift, the shadows buckling. But the darkness wasn't subdued. It enveloped her, tendrils wrapping around her legs, yanking her back, a primal force seeking to drag her under. Her breath hitched as she felt the ground shake beneath her, her own fears manifesting, claws reaching for her resolve. Let go of her, she screamed, the words splintering out of her like shards of glass. I will not abandon her. In that moment, clarity pierced through the storm. Sarah had felt the ancient forces at play. Maybe she didn't need to follow their twisted rules. Perhaps the answers didn't lie solely within the pages of the book. Could it be that her deepest instinct held the answer, the very essence that made her human? Lily, she shouted again, forcing the words through the suffocating darkness. We break the rules together. Join me. A surge of heat bloomed in her chest. Power pulsed, and a blinding light shot forth. It was love incarnate, raw and unfathomable. For the first time, she truly believed. As that light burst from her, the shadows howled in fury. But as the brightness expanded, Sarah knew they were far from safe. The darkness, relentless, morphed and twisted, drawing closer again. She could almost sense the shadows' next move, their fury spilling over. But would they retreat? The world around her warped, and she stood, heart throbbing in her ears, on the brink of something unspeakable. What is next? Sarah's soul echoed, breathless. The shadows loomed large, a tempest waiting to unleash hell upon them. Mommy, Lily's voice called, a sound that drove Sarah forward. But was it too late? As the darkness surged once more, Sarah braced herself, ready to pay any price to protect her child. But was there a way out? What cost had she yet to uncover? The next moment would decide their fate. The shadows writhed, a churning morass of malice as they threatened to swallow Sarah whole. She could feel the darkness pressing against her, inching closer, grinning with the knowledge of her desperation. Each heartbeat thrummed louder in her ears, a frantic drum urging her not to falter. Lily, she cried again, the sound resonating from the depths of her being. Her voice was a war cry, a lifeline that she hurled into the chaos, but uncertainty twisted her insides. Was her daughter even out there, or was this all a cruel illusion? In the center of it all, Sarah clutched the tattered book. The words danced mockingly before her eyes. whispers of doom echoing around them. She had only a vague recollection of the spells, a mist that hung in the air, taunting her. But one line repeated, a refrain in her mind. Blood must be paid. What does that even mean? Panic clawed at her throat. A heavy dread settled deep in her stomach, icy fingers creeping into her veins. From the maelstrom, voices emerged a twisted chorus. Sacrifice. Offer your soul, and we will let her go. No. She felt fire ignite inside her, a resolve stronger than the shadows. You want my soul? You'll have to fight for it. With each defiant word, Sarah could almost feel the darkness recoil, the shadows rippling like disturbed water. She took a deep breath, her instincts screaming to grasp the magic within. What if they could rewrite the rules? What if love could be the weapon? I have your heart, she yelled. Then let us show them what love can do. Drawing from the very essence of herself, she let the incantation flow through her. Words she barely understood took shape, a pulse of energy swirling within her. The warmth blossomed, igniting a blaze that tore through the suffocating cold. From the depths, we rise. The shadows howled, cutting through her fierce declaration. But this time Sarah wasn't backing down. With every ounce of strength, she beckoned for her daughter, heart laid bare, love surging forth. Lily, I am with you. I won't let you face this alone. In that moment, she remembered what it meant to be a mother. It wasn't just protection. It was courage to face the worst of darkness, a strength that surged through the generations. Suddenly, she felt a warmth wrap around her, as if the very essence of Lily's spirit intertwined with her own. Mommy. The sweet sound of her child's voice was like a beacon, cutting through the tempest of despair. Sarah's heart soared and fell. Hope flared even brighter. She imagined Lily, her little girl, visible amidst the shadowy void, encased in safety. Together, Sarah shouted, channeling that image, pushing against the shadows that enveloped them both. But the shadows were relentless, a tidal wave crashing against her resolve. They screamed with anger, desperation clawing at her. You are nothing but a flicker in the night. And then they surged forward, wrapping tighter, constricting her breath. Sarah could almost feel the weight of defeat pressing down, threatening to consume the last vestiges of hope. No. She uncoiled the rage within, drawing from her fury, her pain. If they wanted a sacrifice, she would offer her truth. Every ounce of love and fear became her defense, igniting a blinding light around her. But the darkness wouldn't let go. Its claws dug in deeper. Every inch of Sarah's body ached with despair. She felt them tightening around her throat, squeezing the breath from her lungs. In her heart, she feared she might lose this fight. Then the words escaped her lips, raw and primal. I won't let you take her. I will burn your darkness to ashes. The air thickened around her, almost crackling with energy. The shadows howled. This time, it was a sound filled with panic. They recoiled as her light surged, bright and fierce. But in the chaos, two stark truths jolted her. The shadows would retaliate. They had their own rules she had only begun to understand. As the ground trembled beneath them, Sarah realized with dread the gravity of this dance with darkness. The price for breaking those rules might be more than she ever bargained for. What more would she have to sacrifice to save her child? She had uncovered a nightmare, and it was just beginning. Was this battle truly one for love, or merely a prelude to something far worse? With the shadows swirling ominously around them, she braced herself for the coming storm, unsure of the path ahead. The light surged brighter, pushing back the suffocating darkness, but it was only a flicker in the vast abyss. The shadows hissed. A symphony of whispers filled the air, churning with anger and malice. They twisted, hungry, casting a net tighter around Sarah, their claws scoring her skin like barbed wire. Don't let go, she shouted, feeling Lily's presence raveling around her like a cocoon. But fear not at her. Could her daughter truly feel this? Was she safe? It felt like drowning in a stormy ocean, tossing in waves of fear and despair. I'm here, Lily. I'm fighting for you. Sarah screamed, though her voice cracked. Panic clawed at her heart, and for a fleeting moment, doubt slithered in. What if she was merely shouting into the void? Your heart is weak. The shadows taunted, echoing from all directions. Each taunt was a knife, cutting deeper into her resolve. The darkness surged forward, attempting to invade her light. She felt it, a coldness wrapping around her, seeking to extinguish her fire. Enough, Sarah roared, driving those doubts away. She couldn't falter now. With every ounce of strength she could muster, she pushed her light outwards, envisioning it like a wall against the encroaching shadows. I will not let you take her. But darkness is relentless. It attacked with fury, wrapping around her like a sentient snake. Sarah struggled against the pressure, gasping for breath, each inhale feeling increasingly impossible. Her vision blurred as the shadows clawed at her throat, trying to suffocate her spirit. Then, she heard it again, a faint whisper, softer but clearer this time. Mommy, help! The sound broke through the chaos like a ray of light cracking the night. Sarah's heart surged, igniting a fire within her. I'm coming for you, Lily, she proclaimed, tapping into that primal love that coursed through her veins like electric juice. Offer your soul, the shadows murmured, undulating and beckoning. It's a small price, don't you think? Never, she spat, determination rallying inside her. She wouldn't sacrifice herself, not for these twisted demons who fed on despair. This was a battle for her daughter's life, and she wouldn't bend easily. Then she remembered the tattered book, the words it contained. A wild fever seized her as she struggled to recall the incantations. There must be something. She closed her eyes, feeling every pulse of her heart resonating, a drumbeat of love that anchored her. Blood must be paid. The echoes of that line roared in her mind, not as a chain, but as a weapon. Did love require sacrifice? No, she shouted, eyes wide open again, scanning the shadows for a flicker of hope. That's not the only way. But her voice faltered as a sharp pain pierced her shoulder. She looked down, horrified to see a dark tendril sleekly penetrating her skin. What? She gasped, heart racing, warmth spilling from her. The pain was a lingering whisper. Perhaps this was the price. Your blood, your heart, will be our feast, the shadows hissed in delight. No. She sank deeper, feeling her spirit teetering on the edge. Was there a point of no return? Would Lily have to bear the loss of her mother? The thought sliced through her like the shadow's claws, setting fire to her fears. With her last ounce of defiance, she pulled from the very core of her being, crafting a counter-curse as the shadows writhed. You will not have me, nor my daughter. Love is stronger than your darkness. But the shadows rolled toward her with vengeance, the promise of retribution ticking like a clock. You think you're clever. But rules they bind beyond understanding. The darkness shivered, and suddenly, everything froze. What more must I lose to protect her? Despair bubbled up. In the heart of her turmoil, the shadows hovered, their mouths twisting into gnarled grins. You will learn the true cost of love, and just like that, a deeper dread unfurled within her, knots forming in her stomach tight enough to strangle. Sarah held her breath, feeling the weight of impending doom. Where would the path lead now? Would she pay a price so steep it would drown her hope forever? The shadows seemed to hear her, shifting closer, ready to devour everything she held dear. What would happen next? Only the darkness could tell. The air thickened, a stifling blanket of oppression, as Sarah felt time stretch and warp around her. The shadows had paused, their twisted visages hungering for her turmoil, and within that frozen moment, she realized they were savoring her fear like a wine connoisseur tasting a prized vintage. Listen closely, hissed the darkness, mocking her defiance. Your love blinds you, binds you. Each step you take deeper into this abyss dims your light. Sarah clenched her fists, sparks of light flickering where her skin had been punctured. The warmth of her blood coursed out, but ignited something else within her, a desperate heat of defiance. She could almost see Lily, a small silhouette at the edge of her mind, eyes wide with fear and hope. Dread gripped her heart, not just for herself, but for her daughter. Mommy, the whisper permeated the air, drifting like a fragile ember lost in a storm. Don't you dare give up, Sarah shouted, her voice trembling yet fierce. She felt the shadows recoil for a moment, and the flicker of bravery surged within her. Your darkness can't overpower the love I have for my daughter. Ah, but love has a cost, the shadows crooned in a chorus of dissonant gratifications. And we are here to collect. In an instant, the dark tendril twisted deeper inside her, and pain erupted like fire in her veins. A vision flashed across her mind. Lily's laughter, the way her hair danced in the sunlight, the way she would reach for her hand gone. A storm of grief swirled, threatening to swallow her whole. "I won't let you take her," Sarah gasped, wrestling against the abyss. "Don't you see?" One shadow sneered, its voice echoing with a cacophony of desires. "You are already ours." The shadows closed in around her, suffocating her resolve. Each whispered taunt scraped against her sanity. The looming dread was palpable, pushing her closer to madness. Had she come to this point without realizing the prying claws of darkness were still lurking behind her, waiting for an opening? Desperation ignited her thoughts again, frantic and wild. The book. The tattered pages could hold the key. If she could just remember the words etched in her mind, a whisper of hope dancing on the edge of despair. Sacrifice with blood. She remembered, heart racing. But not mine, not Lily's. The shadows shuddered, a ripple of uncertainty coursing through them. Eager to bargain, they hissed, slithering closer. "Your daughter's life, in exchange for your own?" "No," Sarah shouted, the primal instinct kicking in. "I'll find another way. I refuse to play this twisted game." With newfound will, she thrust her will against the darkness, the shreds of doubt falling away. She focused on the ancient words, weaving them together, seeking a spell that could banish these fiends. "You're afraid of the light. It can consume you, just like it feeds me." The shadows recoiled, their hissing intensifying, shrieking in harmony. "What light you possess will only lead to your downfall. Embrace us, and we shall grant you a vision of your heart's desire." "No." The word came out as a desperate roar, but as the shadows writhed, a cold dread enveloped her again, pulling her down deeper into the void. Part of her wanted to glimpse that desire to see Lily, to hold her in an embrace, safe from the darkness. But at what cost? Tendrils rushed forth, seeking to erase the distance between them. They slipped through her fingers like sand, their unforgiving nature ensnaring her resolve. Time itself seemed to grind to a halt as she stood suspended between two worlds, the glimmer of hope and the crushing despair of surrender. "What will you choose?" they whispered, breathless and taunting. "The darkness is a captivating melody. I senti it." The air crackled around her, and Sarah felt her footing slip as the whispers beckoned. There was terrifying allure in the sweetness of relinquishing control. But somewhere in the depths of her being, the fiercest part of herself held on tight. That as shadows lunged, she threw her arms wide. "I choose light. I choose my daughter." The darkness screamed, their anger reverberating through the cold space. The shadows twisted, slashing at her mind, seeking to rattle her spirit. Would they crush her will before she could break free? With the final pulse of her heart, she screamed, "I will save us both." And the abyss quaked. What would her choice unleash? Would she finally confront what lay hidden within? Time was running out. The shadows were frenzied, eager to pounce. Was this the moment of reckoning? The truth behind the shadows awaited their unveiling. In the madness, would she find her way back to Lily? Or would the price demand a sacrifice beyond her understanding? The darkness quaked, bending to her will, each pulse of light crackling through the oppressive shadow like an iron bell tolling a warning. Sarah stood her ground, heart pounding fiercely, as the air around her buzzed with a tension that seared her skin. "I will not bow to you," she thundered, a fierce cry of defiance reverberating against the gloom. The shadows convulsed, recoiling for just a moment, uncertain. Each fleck of darkness twisted and writhed as clarity washed over Sarah. She could feel it, the radiance of love anchoring her, the tether to her daughter. "You want a sacrifice? How about this?" With every syllable, she summoned her strength, drawing from deep within the bedrock of her being, fueling a magical energy that surged around her like a vibrant aura. "I reject your fear." Flames ignited around her, a gentle warmth that pushed back against the chilling tendrils creeping toward her. Each flicker of light was like a beacon calling to Lily. "Mommy." Lily's soft voice rang like a haunting melody, cutting through the suffocating darkness. The shadows shifted, warping with fury at the mention of the pure love binding them. This was her weapon, her shield. "Show yourself, you coward," Sarah challenged, forcing the words from her chest, unyielding, each syllable swelling with conviction. The shadows hissed, writhing in their tumultuous dance, unable to wrest control of her spirit, unable to drown her love. And then, without warning, the shadows lunged, their barbed tendrils racing toward her, snatching at her flesh, seeking to bleed away her confidence. Pain erupted in her shoulder where the darkness pierced her, but she gritted her teeth against it. She raised her arms, letting the warmth of love envelop her and visualize it dispersing, like a lighthouse guiding lost souls back to shore. The shadows screamed, a sound so insistent and harrowing it rattled the world around her. "You think your love can save you? Nobody escapes us," they taunted in a voice dripping with malice. With the pain still gnashing at her strength, she spoke the words she now knew by heart. "Love is stronger than you could ever understand. That is my choice." Each word hit like thunder, and the shadows recoiled, choking on their own fury. In that charged moment, the attic brightened. Light pierced through, illuminating the walls, the terrifying faces of anguish vanishing as the shadows diminished in size. For the first time, Sarah could see beyond the veil of despair that had clung to her like a second skin. Images danced around her, a relay of memories with Lily, laughter shared under sunny skies, soft whispers as they drifted off to sleep. "Mom, help!" The cry pulled her back, a stark reminder that Lily was still out there lost, but not without hope. "Hold on to my light," Sarah shouted, tapping into a reservoir of love that surged through her veins. The book glowed fiercely within the chaotic energy of the shadows, its words swirling, as if they were finally answering her call. "Let go," she commanded, and with an explosion of inner strength, she conjured everything she had, her resolve, her pain, her love, and unleashed it upon the shadows. "I choose love. I choose freedom for us both." The darkness roared, an unholy sound echoing against the walls, clawing for a way to grip Sarah's heart once more. But she was ready. The light swelled, engulfing the shadows, pushing them further and further away, until each strand of darkness began to dissolve into dust, vanishing into the ether. With a last heart-wrenching cry, she felt Lily's spirit flicker back into view, and as the last tendril of shadow fell away, time twisted. In an instant, Sarah was met with the soft presence of her daughter, small, ethereal but warm, alive. "Mommy!" Lily rushed forward, her smile bright and innocent like a sunrise breaking through the darkest night. "Lily!" Sarah wept, lifting her daughter into her arms, holding her tightly against her chest as a wave of relief crashed over her. The once crowded attic felt like home again, sunbeams pouring through the shattered window, illuminating their surroundings with golden hues. The shadows were gone, the darkness banished. She felt her own heart swell, the gaping ache of fear subsiding as she cradled Lily closer than ever. "I love you, kiddo," she murmured, tears of joy flowing freely. "I knew you would come for me." As they stood together in that moment, surrounded by the remnants of what had once been terrifying, an overwhelming sense of peace enveloped them. They had faced horror and emerged stronger, bound by an unbreakable thread only love could weave. But before they could fully celebrate their victory, the chilling sensation of being watched settled over them. Sarah turned slowly, her breath catching. In the corner of the attic, Mrs. Parker stood, her face twisted in a knowing smile, shadows curling at her feet. "That book at isn't just the end," she whispered, voice threaded with a wicked undertone. "It's a cycle. Others will come after it, after you. You are never free." Fear knotted in Sarah's stomach, but she held Lily close, feeling the warmth radiating from her child. They had survived this. "We will protect our stories together," she vowed with fierce determination, drawing strength from her daughter's presence. "Let them come," Sarah challenged the shadows that beckoned alongside the woman. "Let them try." A tapestry of light burst around them, and in that moment of renewed purpose, Sarah knew they would fight this darkness, together as mother and daughter, as a family. And in that choice lay an unshakable resolve their love would be the weapon against any evil daring to choose them next. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more people who need to hear this. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this tale resolved. You need to support the channel, because only true fans understand the impact your actions have. Don't wait even one more second to join the movement.